be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Friday, August 20th, 2021. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. We all know that the Arnold Classic will be coming up in a few weeks. And as far as classic physique is concerned, we also know that there will be a lot of really good athletes vying to get themselves into one of those coveted top 3 spots. And even though the discussion up to this point has centered around Alex Cabernero and Terrence Ruffin and Brian Jones, from here on out, anytime we start talking about the top 3 group, we're going to have to start including Peter Molnar in the conversation. A few days ago, Peter announced that he was officially being added to the lineup for this year's Arnold Classic, despite not being a part of the initial group that was announced a few weeks ago. Given that Peter has the smallest IFBB sample size out of anyone in the lineup, it makes it hard to have any real sense about how he'll stack up against some of the other names we just mentioned. But with that being said, if he does end up working his way into that top 3 group, it could set up a pretty interesting scene at the Olympia 2 weeks later. I know people like to say that photos are worth 1,000 words, but that was before we had iPhones that shot video in 4K. Because if an update photo of Andrei Lincan is worth 1,000, what's the estimated value of this new update video that he released a few days ago? In case you missed it, on Tuesday, Andrei released his first official update since his big win at the Republic of Texas Pro back in July. And based on the little bit we can see, it seems like he's ready to come back and prove that last year's top 6 Olympia finish wasn't a fluke. For the most part, it's been business as usual in men's physique this year, in the sense that there really haven't been any major breakout stars who look like they're ready to threaten the balance of power at the top of the division. That being said, the top of this division does feel like it's primed for some turnover, and Andrei could have all the makings of someone who's ready to make that happen. Do you know the expression, everything old is new again? Usually people use it in reference to fashion or something in pop culture. But for the purposes of this segment, we're going to use it for bodybuilding, because as the old Olympia champ, I'm sure that Brandon Curry would love nothing more than to become the new Olympia champ again when he squares off against Big Ramy and the rest of the field a few weeks from now. The reports we hear coming from the Camel crew over there in Oxygen Gym is that Brandon is on track to be his all-time best again this year. And in the chest training clip they released a few days ago, it definitely looked like he was heading in that direction. Obviously, we know that when Brandon is at his absolute best, he's one of the best bodybuilders on the planet. But the real question we have to ask now is whether or not Brandon at his absolute best is still good enough to be Mr. Olympia. Because even if he's better than he was last year, if the field got better too, it makes that climb back to the top all that harder. Since we're already talking about former Olympia champs and old things becoming new again, this felt like the perfect time to segue into the new update from 7-time 212 Olympia champ Flex Lewis. After he announced that he was pulling out of the Olympia due to health and injury issues for a second straight year, a few months ago, there's been a lot of speculation about whether or not we'd seen the last of Flex Lewis on a bodybuilding stage. And at least right now, at this moment, it looks like the answer to that question is a hard no. According to Flex, after flying to Colombia a few weeks ago to receive stem cell treatment for his shoulders, he's feeling better than he has in years, and he's planning to pick up the intensity in his training at some point within the next few weeks. And I'm assuming that means if he can stay healthy and his shoulders cooperate, then at some point next year, we can expect an official announcement about whether or not he's planning to make a run in the men's open division. From a bodybuilding perspective, Flex is still relatively young, so the window for him to make the move isn't theoretically closed, but it is closing. So fingers crossed, let's hope he stays healthy, because I think it would be a Shakespearean tragedy if he bowed out early from the 212 to make a transition to the open, only to have those dreams stop dead in their tracks by injuries. He probably needs closure as much as we do as fans, and the only thing for that to happen is for him to step onto the Olympia stage in the open division and see how that final chapter of his career ends up. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions. And make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.